So they nicknamed this thing the Bear. It's a kind of plane, military aircraft, first designed in Russia in the 50s. It was built to compete with the American B-52 bomber. This Russian aircraft has a super long range. It can fly transcontinental flights before it has to stop and refuel. It can carry 8 long-range missiles. Russia has more than 100 of these big planes and other planes like it. At least they used to. Because this was part of Russia's fleet of these planes as of yesterday. On fire. Destroyed in drone attacks that were launched by Ukraine. Now, in the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia has been hammering Ukraine with these bombers. And this weekend, surprise, Ukraine decided that rather than continuing just to try to intercept as many missiles that these planes have fired from the sky, as many missiles as they could, rather than just trying to defend itself that way, Ukraine decided instead that they would take out the planes themselves on the ground inside Russia. According to NBC News, Ukraine's security services smuggled more than 100 drones into Russia, in some cases well into Russia. Then they hid them under the roofs of mobile wooden cabins. It took months for them to do this, to get them all in place. But then all at once, simultaneously, with no warning, the cabin roofs were opened via remote control, and then the drones rose up out of the roofs of these cabins and flew off to Russian military airfields to do their thing, packed with explosives. Ukraine says they destroyed planes across 4 different military sites in Russia, including in Siberia, at a site which is almost 3,000 miles away from Ukraine. Of Russia's entire fleet of these large military bombers, Ukraine says they were able to destroy or severely damage about 1/3 of them. Now, was Russia aware an attack like this was going to happen or that it could happen? Clearly not. They were unaware. Did they have defenses in place to protect these planes at their air bases? That turns out to be a funny story. See anything that strikes you as odd in this screenshot? This is a screenshot from one of the videos of the drone attacks that was put out by Ukraine's security services. You see those round circles, little black Fruit Loops right there on the wings of those bomber planes? Those are tires, like tires you put on your car. Apparently, this is a thing Russia has been doing for a while now. This photo is from 2023. But you see they've got all the little tires stacked up on top of the plane? This was apparently Russia's idea of defense for their strategic aircraft on the ground at their own military bases. One NATO official telling CNN, quote, "We believe it's meant to protect against drones. We don't know if this will have any effect." Well, now we know. Turns out stacking tires on your plane doesn't prevent drones from destroying those planes. The whole thing is just astonishing, and not just in a foreign policy way, but also in kind of an action movie sort of way. It also has really serious implications for Russia and beyond Russia and the Ukraine war, because those big bombers that Ukraine just torched, those are the kinds of planes that are not only equipped to carry large-scale missiles, those are the kinds of planes that are also outfitted to carry nuclear warheads. So if you're Russia, or if you're the United States, or if you're any country with nuclear weapons, your national security policies are based in part around the fact that you have this sort of impenetrable nuclear deterrent, right? Why would anyone attack you if you could then retaliate by flying some long-range bomber anywhere on Earth and blowing your opponent off the map using your nuclear stockpile, right? That's a sort of linchpin idea of being a nuclear deterrent country. Well, does Russia still have that same deterrent capability? Ukraine just disabled a primary piece of Russia's nuclear arsenal with, handheld-sized devices that look like they came from Radio Shack. I mean, Russia now has to contend with the fact that their impenetrable nuclear deterrents may be not so impenetrable after all, even against a much smaller neighbor that they have been hammering militarily for years now. That said, it's not only Russia that has to contend with what this means. This has really important strategic consequences for every country that thinks of itself as having a nuclear deterrent along the same lines as Russia's. For our country, this might be a really good time to have a robust, competent national security apparatus thinking about those kinds of implications and making smart, well-informed strategic decisions about how to react to them. Wouldn't it be awesome if that's what we had here in our own country?